Tell me about this studio and record label. You're part owner?
Silent partner. Put in some money to help out my brother.
You own a majority stake.
Where are you going with this, Agent Tanner?
The hitter on that job was one Marco Baselli, Sal Baselli's kid. A first grader could connect these dots.
All right, y'all. So I want y'all to tell me in the comment section down below on how do you think Rock is gonna get out of this? How you think she's gonna solve the Lulu problem, well, his snitching problem, and potentially Marvin going back to jail? Because things is not looking good for nobody right now. Because the feds is everywhere. Special Agent Tanner, like, he seems like he got some legitimate reason to come after Rock again. And you have, like, Lulu's at his breaking point where he can't, he's tired of it. He's tired of seeing ghosts of people that he failed or killed. And he's just like, I'm coming clean. And remember, we all had our predictions. We all were saying, like, okay, who potentially might have the gun on Lulu? I mean, now when you think about it, I kind of said it. I'm like, well, maybe it's actually Rock, maybe. Because I said Ronnie, but I'm like, maybe it could be Rock this time. Because you got to keep in mind as well. Remember when I said about this whole, when Kanan was killing family members like it's nothing, where did this originated from? Where did he get this from? So I'm like, because Vanessa made a fair point when she was arguing with Rock at the door, when she was just like, okay, what happened to Unique? And she said something very interesting where she was like, did you do Unique like you did High Post? And remember, High Post was that guy back in the first season of Raising Kanan where I guess he was the one, showing Rock the ropes, and he was teaching her a couple of things. But then from what older Kanan was explaining, I think what happened to him? Like, I remember him saying that he was in a car and he was set on fire or something. I don't know if it had anything to do with him, like, snitching, or something happened. He got set on fire. So I'm like, well, if it is true, right, that Rock has something to do with High Post's death, despite, as older Kanan was explaining, that he liked the High Post. He was good to he was good to Rock. He was good to him. So he kind of liked the High Post, but business is business. As we've seen in this season where Ronnie was just like, well, Unique fucked up. They had an argument and a tussle, and that tussle led to Unique's death. So, I mean, things could change. Even when Rock was explaining to Vanessa about it, where she was like, well, what if Ronnie did it? And she was just like, no, Ronnie wouldn't do that. He loved Unique. That never happened, but it was just like things can change. So you gotta look at a lot of these things and been like, well, things can change, and what if that line comes up?
You don't deserve to be my son.
You don't deserve to be my brother. What if that line comes up? But again, we're gonna have to wait and see, because we got, like, what, I think 3 more episodes to go. I think it's like 3 more. So yeah, we're gonna have to see on that. But for Marvin, again, it's not looking good, because not only was he involved with the execution of Sal, right? And if what the rumors are saying about, like, I guess Stefano, like, potentially being like a snitch and maybe working with the feds, then it's not going to look good for Rocco or nobody else involved, because it's like, sure, Sal is gone, but the thing is, it's just like Marvin's fingerprints is everywhere, because not only did he kill Sal, but then that guy from the park recognized him, and he was just like, wait, he was with Tony Deep, and he's trying to deny that, because he can't say anything about him being involved with the whole Tony Deep thing, despite him being involved when he had, Sal's son to, take care of some business for him, which became very murky because Sal's son died, and then that whole ordeal got fucked up. And then you have his friend Gerald, the reporter, where at the time when they was at the park and they was talking, he was just like, oh, I could do like this story, like this background story on Jukebox, and explaining about like her origins and this and that, to try to like boost her career. But then now that he knows this a little bit piece of information, like, wait a minute, Tony Deep, he gonna start looking into things and be like, oh, wait a minute, she died by this and that or whatever. And to know that they ain't involved with the whole mob business and that the feds is looking into things, we don't know if his friend is gonna like keep this to himself, but we already know how reporters are. When you hear like a good story, like a good scoop, they're gonna probably try to run with that. And if he runs with this story or attempts to run with this story, I see Marvin probably killing him. I could probably see Marvin killing him if he has no choice. If he's like, listen, I don't want you to run this story or whatever, and he doesn't listen, and he probably still does it anyway, then I could probably see Marvin actually killing him. And, it's going to make things much worse for Marvin, because it's like he doesn't want to go back to jail again, right? And to know that he's in the spotlight for majority of the business that he's involved in. So it's just like, it's not going to look good for him. And it does make me wonder how Rock is going to probably get Marvin out of this, because she's going to really need him more. And as we've seen how they are, together rather than her and Lulu being together, and she's going to really need him more. So how, you got to wonder like how she's going to get him out of this and who's going to be the scapegoat. Now, I mean, I've been hearing stories about, I guess Unique being the scapegoat, but it's just like, how can you, prove anything? Well, you kind of can, but he's dead. and how the feds is going to, okay, let's go find Unique. Where can we find this man at? And ask these questions and be like, okay, where was you or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. She could use like Unique, but then it's just like, I don't know. Because it's a lot of these factors that you have to like really look into to be like, okay, who can you actually blame for any of this, right? And how this is going to like tie into anything, because you have to like leave out maybe like the new players, like Snaps and Stephanie. Like, you have to leave them out, because as Snaps said, like, they've been retired, so they're not really involved in that type of life. But I mean, we don't know how Rock is going to move, where she can even point the blame maybe towards them if she finds out like much information about like, okay, who's Kana hanging around with or whatever, and maybe try to like dump everything either on them, or maybe set some, because I was gonna say like maybe she would set some stuff up with, like Juliana or whatever, but I'm like, no, I think that story is gonna be safe for like way later. But I mean, she could just like dump everything over to what they doing or whatever. But then again, it's just like, we're gonna have to like wait and see on that, because even if she was to shift everything to their direction, the fact is just like Henry Snaps and his wife, they've been out the game for like a while. So it's just like, I don't know if she's gonna like shift it towards their direction to be like, well, they was responsible for this and that. I don't really see that happening into that factor. So I'm thinking like Rock is gonna have to come up with some sort of different solution on to like stirring the feds not near her family, but to somewhere else. Because again, even if she was to take out Stefano, then it leaves her as the main, target to be like, well, he's gone. So how did this happen? Right? And everything is going to lead to her. So I'm thinking there's going to be some sort of a scapegoat. Somebody's going to have to take the fall for everything. And they're going to have to blame somebody for this and be like, well, it wasn't really Rock. It wasn't Marvin. It wasn't Lulu. Right? They're going to have to like do something, right, to have somebody take the fall for this. But then at the same time, if they can get somebody to take the fall and then maybe kill Stefano, right, everything can kind of like work out to their favor. But again, it's just that Marvin, he's the front and center of the Fed's investigation at the moment, because again, there's a lot of things that's tying him to all these events that happen, which is true, but again, it's just not looking good. And Lulu's case as well, it's like, he's spilling the beans. He could also become a liability, because if he says the wrong things, which is bad because he's saying things that shouldn't happen right now, because you still have the feds looking into things, and he could become a liability, which Rock may not like. And again, who knows, maybe Rock is pointing a gun at Lulu. Maybe that's her doing that shit and be like, listen, you can't do this to me, you becoming a liability. And if she starts saying those words like, hey, you don't deserve to be my brother or whatever, and she shoots him, I'm gonna be like, oh shit, you put a sad dog out of his misery. A wounded, defeated dog out of his misery, you put him down. And if she does that shit, I'm gonna be like, ooh, no. But again, I don't know. We have to wait because If Rock is getting, if she do that shit, I'm like, all right. Now we know where Kanan got that from. Now we know, because like I said, it's the story is about raising Kanan, right? It's about that. So it's just like, come on now, killing family members. He had to get that shit from somewhere. So I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm looking at Rock sideways here, because I mean, granted, you know, Lulu, you know, he's talking, you know, he shouldn't be saying these things, but again, it was really getting to him because he was seeing, you know, D-Wiz's ghost, and he was seeing Scrappy's ghost, and all of that, plus the drinking, it broke him. It really broke him, and he had no choice but to tell Scrap's mom, I guess, about some things that happened, right? And that's why I said it's not looking good, and I'm kind of wondering, like, how she's going to do this, because, see, you can't, well, I don't know, because I was going to say this too. I was like, if they can't find anybody else, you can't use Unique because he's dead. You can't use Snaps or his wife. Then would she actually throw it on? Nah, I don't think she would though. Like nah, that's too risky though. Because I was like, where would she actually throw it on? Like Lulu. Like what if she was just dump everything onto him? But I'm like nah. Because Lulu, that fucker will talk. So I'm like no, I don't think so. But comment down below on how you think Rock is actually gonna get out of this, because things is not looking good for nobody. Things isn't looking good for nobody, and it's like how she's gonna be able to get out of this. Who's gonna be the scapegoat? And do you think that maybe Rock is the one holding the gun on Lulu, right? Do you think that could be the case? Like it's actually her. It's probably not nobody else, right? Ronnie. Then it could actually maybe be Rock, the one holding the gun on to Lulu, threatening him to either get his shit together or something bad gonna happen, right? And lastly, like, do you see Marvin going back to jail this time? I mean, do you think that he can actually get out of this unscathed? The fact that, you know, there has been some concrete evidence that is going towards Marvin's way, and the fact is that he was around for some of these events, and he was responsible for some of them as well. So it's just like, how do you see his future playing out, right? And where do you think everything's gonna like lead up towards the ending? But you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know, do all that wonderful stuff, and I'll catch you all in the next one.